Jagger needs to be in the Olympics. Happy August, folks, and Merry Basketball Christmas. That is right. NBA free agency has begun. Ladies and gentlemen, it kicked off about 10 minutes ago, and me and John are here for you guys for the next hour and a half as we will live react and break down each and every deal and each and every trade as it comes in live here on the air. Welcome into our 2021 NBA free agency special here. It is a co-production of both the MI6 Sports Network as well as the God Over Money Sports Network. We are streaming this on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, as well as Twitch as well. So make sure you guys go check out those platforms as well and share this video all over the place. But John, before we get into, the frenzy that is NBA free agency, I know we got a couple of moves that have already happened. But John, how are you doing, man? And what kind of moves? Let me say this. What kind of moves are you predicting that will be like splash moves?
I would say predicting, you would think the Heat would try to keep their core together. And what we're really seeing here, as much as people like to hate on Kawhi or think Kawhi is this or Kawhi is that, the fact of the matter is Kawhi's not a number one. Because that's the thing. If he's going to be a number one, and I'm a fan of Kawhi, I'll support him no matter what. But the thing is, for you to be that number one, you have to be playing on the field. And if you're injured, you sit out. When I hear about the Spurs drama, his dip value is definitely going downhill. I would expect the Miami Heat to keep their main core together because that's what got him to the finals two summers ago. That's what got him into, I believe, the first or second round of the playoffs. So you don't mess with what you have. Maybe it makes it small to me key additions, but I'd definitely be excited. And the Pistons, though, just keep doing what you're doing and don't be a Higgins.
Don't be a Higgins and don't be a Red Wing as well, as I made that mistake.
Chicago Red Wing or something you said on air.
The Detroit Red Wings. Yeah, the Detroit Red Wings. But I made that mistake live on the air on our NBA draft special. I'm not going to do that today, I promise, folks. But feel free to fire away in the comments section. We will gladly read your comments live on the air, whether it's a thought about the signing that broke or the trade that broke. We will really want to hear your guys' thoughts. But John, let's begin, my man. The floodgates have opened. NBA free agency has officially begun. And let's hit the button, man. We have some breaking news. John, breaking news coming in from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. We have breaking news. The first move of the NBA free agency is a big one. The former New Orleans Pelicans guard, Lonzo Ball is landing on a 4-year, $85 million contract with the Chicago Bulls on a sign and trade agreement. His agent and Clutch Sports CEO Rich Paul tells ESPN, I believe this is not Lonzo signing an offer sheet and the Pelicans get to match it. Lonzo's officially gone. It's a sign and trade. So Lonzo Ball is now officially a Chicago Bull. Ladies and gentlemen, he joins Zach LaVine and Nikola Vucevic and all that young talent that they have there in Chicago. Lonzo Ball is a Chicago Bull. John, what's your reaction to the first big free agent signing that we have here to open free agency? Lonzo Ball heading to Chicago.
Chicago makes another stupid free agent move, just like they did in the offseason with Andy Dalton and Nick Foles. I don't understand, like, when you have a strong rebuild, you're headed in the right direction. What do you really need? Yes, you can talk about offense or defense, but you need consistent shooters. Lonzo Ball is not a consistent shooter, so I don't understand what the Chicago Bulls are thinking about bringing him in. I don't know how this makes their team better. What, shooting? What, offense? Defense? If we're being like honest again, folks, you people have more NBA knowledge than I do. I don't think this is really good for either side. And I want to address this comment here below on Woj's Twitter. That's it. I've had enough. I'm no longer a Pelicans fan. So you're going to tell me that somehow Lonzo Ball made this team better? Lonzo Ball is a good player and a good shooter? I think the research you need to redo. I've been taking my talents to Chicago to support them for what? For their corny TV show on Facebook and YouTube? Or is it consistent shooting? So I don't think this is a good move for Chicago. If it didn't work in LA, and if it didn't work with New Orleans, what makes you think all of a sudden this is going to magically going to change and we're going to see that Lonzo Ball that his dad thought he was going to be in 2017?
Yeah, for me, I actually last night on our 100K special, I was actually giving my predictions about where each free agent that I had on the list would land, and Lonzo Ball was one of them. And I was deciding between the Bulls and also the New York Knicks because I thought that these two teams, they are the two teams that are the most desperate to land a point guard. They need a point guard. They have a big need at that position. And I said that, I thought Lonzo Ball was going to go to the New York Knicks simply because I thought that, he wants the big market. By the way, we also have some news from Shams. If we could pull that up right now on the details of that Lonzo Ball to the New Orleans Pelicans sign and trade right now. If our producers could pull that up, that would be great. But Lonzo Ball, there it is. The Chicago Bulls are sending Tomas Satoransky, Garrett Temple, and a second-round pick to New Orleans for Lonzo Ball, who has signed a 4-year, $85 million contract with the Chicago Bulls. I said at the beginning, I thought that Lonzo was going to go to the Knicks because I thought that he liked the big market. And what is a bigger market than playing in New York, with the Knicks? And LeVar Ball originally wanted Lonzo Ball to go to the New York Knicks to play in the Big Apple. And I thought, the Knicks got cap space. They need a point guard. It's a perfect marriage. So I don't know why Lonzo decided to opt for Chicago. Obviously, there were rumors that he could go to the Chicago Bulls. I didn't really buy because I thought he was going to go to New York, but surprise, surprise, Lonzo Ball now signing with the Chicago Bulls in a sign-in trade. He's going to Chicago. John, let me ask you this. With Lonzo Ball now in the fold, you got Zach LaVine, very, very talented shooting guard, Nikola Vucevic, big-time center that they got in a trade with the Orlando Magic at the trade deadline. What do you think of this Bulls team now with a big three of Lonzo, Zach LaVine, and Nikola Vucevic in the Windy City?
Nothing changes in terms of positivity and growth. This is Lonzo Ball we're talking about. Then this is the problem is when your name keeps carrying you to. I understand he's young, he's younger, 25, but Lonzo Ball is not a great basketball player. He shows flashes here and there. He shows what he could be, what he may be, but this is not a maybe league. This isn't like a flag football league or a kids basketball league where, you show potential, you'll be fine. Lonzo Ball doesn't make him worse, but he doesn't necessarily elevate him to like a deep playoff spot. So I definitely think, of course, overrated in the NBA. Maybe certain people would disagree, but no, I don't think it makes this team better at all.
I think he makes this team a little bit better. I thought the Bulls were already a fringe playoff team last year. They were on that outside of being the 10th seed and going into that play-in tournament. I think it pushes them into the play-in tournament. Does it push them into the playoffs as like a 7 or 8 seed? Who knows? Because you're going to have to win that one game play-in tournament to even get into the postseason. But I do believe that this move does push them to the playoffs. I think it pushes them to the playoffs. They are a young team. Zach LaVine, he reportedly wanted Lonzo Ball to be his running mate in the backcourt, so he gets his wish. We'll just have to see how it goes, because I think the Bulls were honestly one of the teams last year that really disappointed, because I thought the Bulls were going to be that team that was going to finally take that next step under their new head coach, Billy Donovan, at that time, and go to the postseason, because the Bulls haven't been to the postseason since when? Like Derrick Rose, Carlos.
When Derrick Rose was probably a year or two from his MVP year, when he was the Russell before Westbrook, basically.
Yeah, that was pretty much like in 2011, 2012, 2013. So they haven't made the playoffs in a long, long time. And, let's face it, the product on the basketball court has been garbage the last 6-7 years in Chicago. So hopefully they turn it around. I don't know about 4 years, 85 million. Like, John, for me, that seems a bit much, but obviously the Bulls had to overpay because Lonzo Ball was a restricted free agent. So the only way that they weren't going to get New Orleans to match that contract was if they gave him a mammoth deal, and that would make New Orleans be like, yeah, okay, have a good one in the Windy City, Lonzo. But I think that's why they honestly overpaid this, but it's going to be an interesting fit for sure. But now if you're the Pelicans, you have a hole at point guard. What are you going to do? Are you going out and getting Kyle Lowry? Because there's reports that, the Pelicans were willing to give Kyle Lowry, get this, John, a 3-year, $90 million contract, giving him $30 million per year. If you're the Pelicans, I think right now, John, it's Kyle Lowry or bust.
Here's the thing, especially what you were just saying here with the Pelicans. Lonzo Ball, though, as much as we talk about this team, but talking about the Pelican side of this is a little bit concerning, because Zion is supposed to be your number one guy. Can you trust him in a full? I believe it's back to a full 82 game season next year. I'm not sure, but if it's a full 82 game season, can you trust him to be 100%? And if you can't trust him to be number 1%, but I know you got Ingram, I believe Josh Hart. Again, I'm not assuming they'll have huge NBA knowledge. They have some players, but if Zion can't stay healthy, what do you think is going to happen in 2021? What do you think is going to happen in 2022, especially since Josh Hart is a restricted free agent? You think any team is truly going to want him like Alonzo Ball? Maybe he had the last name Ball. Maybe he probably would have gotten some offers. But I'm worried about the Pelicans and Zion's future. I have no doubt Zion will be a phenomenal player. But if you can't trust him and are concerned about him being 100% healthy, and then you let I'm not saying that Lonzo Ball was making this team better. What are the Pelicans going to do moving forward? You could have that great starting three, but what about your bench? Especially because it's going to have to be key in 2021 and 2022, especially because you can't trust Zion Williamson to stay, or hopefully he can stay healthy in 2021. But if I'm New Orleans, or fans, I would definitely be a little bit concerned for 2021 and beyond.
And honestly, I would not even give Kyle Lowry that big of a contract too, because Kyle Lowry's getting up there in age, and also he's a guy that has had some injury issues in the past. So $30 million per year for Kyle Lowry, I think it's a bit too much for Kyle Lowry, if you ask me. But going into a comment section, we had a couple of comments that flooded in. Christy Wilson says, "Hi guys, what's going on?" Christy, welcome into our 2021 NBA free agency special. And also Christy says, "I understand that Zion Williamson needs help, but is Kyle Lowry, is he really the answer?" John, you want to take this?
He's not the answer, because this is not a team that is truly ready for contention. If they were a team that was like on the second or third round, that they were that close to the finals, I could understand, because you make those moves. Because in 3 to 4 years, yes, it can rebuild it moving forward, which is why you go back to the Broncos in 2012. They had the team around it. They were a playoff caliber team. They just needed that one player to fit that piece into the puzzle to get them to the Super Bowl. Went to 2 and won one. This is not the case of the New Orleans Pelicans. He would be the answer to the Pelicans if they were a team like, let's say, the Clippers, or a team that's much better than the Clippers, a team that was in the second or third round. Yes, he would be the answer for the Pelicans, Christy and Isaiah. But since this team hasn't even necessarily made the playoffs, or is still struggling because Zion Williamson can't stay healthy, you got signing trade with Lonzo Ball to the Chicago Bulls, 4 years, 84 plus. He's not the answer because they're not a playoff team. You don't sign a guy, a veteran guy, deep playoff caliber guy, to a team that is questionable if they're ready for the playoffs. That just wouldn't make any sense right now. Again, folks, here we have some issues here with Isaiah Leon with the internet, and that happens here, folks. But ladies and gentlemen, we have the NBA free agency period that just started here, so I apologize. This could be very, very awkward here, but I will go to my Twitter account and we will get some more NBA free agency news. So give me just one moment and we will get upon that here in just a minute. But folks, the Pelicans need to be afraid. Thank gosh you're back, because I wouldn't know what to do for the NBA talk.
Yeah, you would have had to go by yourself on the NBA talk, but
Pretty much.
yeah, sorry about that, guys. My computer had some problems. I don't know
Just
what
same
happened.
here,
But hey, John, it's the MI6 Sports Network, you know, the home of technical difficulties. So I don't think we should even be surprised at this point that we have technical difficulties come in left and right. But folks, once again, this is our NBA. Nearly said MLB free agency special. But
hey, what big kid? It's maybe the Major League Soccer football. I mean, according to what you were saying the other day.
But also, my guy Tim Filer Sarge says Zion is overrated.
Yeah. I've had similar thoughts, but I don't want to get into that just now. But though, for me to talk basketball right now, Isaiah, has to be something, because I'm trying to get more knowledge on basketball. Because next time I have Chris Broussard on, I want to make sure we can have a very good conversation.
Yes, and I think that it's great to see that you are talking basketball right now. But John, roll the breaking news segment, my friend, because we have breaking news. Another signing has happened here in the NBA. If we could find this real quick. Folks, according to Shams Charania of The Athletic, free agent Mike Conley Jr. has agreed to a 3-year, $68 million contract to return to the Utah Jazz. Sources are telling The Athletic Mike Conley Jr. back with Donovan Mitchell, and the Utah Jazz are going to run it back once again. John, do you like this 3-year, $68 million contract that Utah just gave Mike Conley Jr.?
Well, that's the thing. A lot of times, yes, I don't think they're going to be a team that's going to make the finals this year or next year, but especially if this is the team that got you as far as they did to a certain extent. Yes, you bring it back. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Don't be like Hollywood here, where you try to remake the same thing over and over and have a terrible Fast and Furious 9, the worst in a series. Vin Diesel, you should be ashamed. I mean, this team, they're very interesting, but I'm not really sure. Yes, you re-sign them. It's great to keep your key and role players. I just don't see moving forward how, like, this team can out there like the Lakers or many other teams in the NBA.
John, I hate to interrupt you because the signings are going fast and furious right now. We have another signing from Adrian Wojnarowski, and this involves your Cleveland Cavaliers. If our producers could pull this up right now, don't worry. Colin Sexton did not get traded. It's not involving him.
Yes.
But producers, let's roll it, man. To Woj, restricted free agent center Jarrett Allen has agreed to a massive 5-year, $100 million contract with to stay with the Cleveland Cavaliers. John, you're a big Cavs fan. What do you think
Let's
of Jarrett
go.
Allen getting a 5-year, $100 million contract to stay with your Cleveland Cavaliers?
Man, you know what? I don't know if this is Christmas already or should we celebrate it. I'm not saying that this guy's like elite, but for the Cavs, at least, number one, you're not trading Colin Sexton. Thank gosh. I would hope he wouldn't be that ridiculous as I talk to some sources of connections off camera here. But bringing Jared Allen, they're bringing back those key pieces. And this is the Cavs that I like to see. This is the Cavs that we seen 4 to 5 the plus 6 years ago. This is the Cavs team that's starting to make those tiny, small, right decisions. It's definitely exciting here. 5 years, 100. This shows like they're committed long term to Jared Allen, and soon they're gonna be very long committed to Colin Sexton and you got Garland, you got the guy you drafted with the third overall pick. So moving forward, it's definitely gonna be interesting. Hopefully, the Cavs can build on this moving forward.
Yeah, this shows that Cleveland is committed to this core. All the rumors about Colin Sexton maybe getting traded. I think this solidifies Colin Sexton's future in Cleveland. It solidifies it. I think Colin Sexton is going to stay in Cleveland because if you were going to trade him, you probably would have traded him through or in the NBA draft last week. That didn't happen. The Cavs instead drafted a center and Evan Mobley. So it's going to be really interesting to see Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley, two big mans working together in the front court. It's gonna be like what the Pelicans did a couple of years back with the Twin Towers of DeMarcus Cousins and Anthony Davis. You never see teams stock up on big men like that anymore, especially in today's NBA. So I think right now you do have Allen entrenched in the center spot. Mobley's definitely going to be like in the power forwards position because there's no way you drafted him to be a bench player. So he's going to be there. So it's interesting to see those two guys how they're going to mesh. And if I'm Cleveland, the next move I make is I ink Colin Sexton to a long-term extension because if for you to just ink Jarrett Allen, if you're going to go 5 years, $100 million and want to pay him that much money, it just makes even more sense for you to keep Colin Sexton and give him that big extension that he wants. But John, back over to you. I see that you wanted to say some stuff about, Jarrett Allen, Evan Mobley point.
It was supposed about that, but I think the big man is maybe not still making a complete comeback in the NBA, but the big man is maybe starting to have a little bit more relevance in the NBA than it did maybe 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 years ago. Definitely think that's exciting to see the big man kind of come back because I think it's awesome to see that he had guys like Shaq and then back in the day. Yeah, the NBA is different now, but I think the big man is slowly but surely starting to have a little bit more importance. Cleveland, you better re-sign Colin Sexton.
Yeah, just give Colin Sexton, that 5-year extension now because it just wouldn't make any sense. If you give that to Jarrett Allen, you're not going to give that to Colin Sexton. Just doesn't make any sense. So Cleveland, extend Colin Sexton now, please. But other news that we might have, just looking at Adrian Wojnarowski, do we have some news? Not as big as the Jarrett Allen signing, but free agent center Nerlens Noel is returning to the New York Knicks on a 3-year, $32 million contract. Tom Thibodeau really liked him as a rim protector and as a big man for the New York Knicks. John, this move, I don't think it was a big surprise because when a coach likes a player that much, the organization usually makes a ton of effort to re-sign that player and not get that or not let that player get out of town that easily. And Tom Thibodeau, he went to bat for him, and now Nerlens Noel is back in the Big Apple with the New York Knicks.
It's definitely a smart decision, especially a young team that hadn't had literally any successes before you probably went to high school. It's definitely interesting to see here. You're bringing your core back. Continue to build on what you're doing. It's going to repeat the same thing. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Stop trying to ruin certain things like people were in SpongeBob. Don't try to reinvent the wheel. Continue to build on what you're doing. Bring those guys back. Focus on the guys that you drafted. I think the Knicks would be fine moving forward, but now that the NBA and teams start to have a sliver of what they know the Knicks are about, it's going to be a lot harder for them next season.
Yeah, the Knicks play a lot of old school basketball. They are a defensive team, and then on offense, they play a lot of pound the paint, bully ball as their offense. And I think keeping Nerlens Noel, is a guy that brings the energy every night, a guy that is a great rebounder, a guy that is a great shot blocker, a guy that thrived in Thibodeau's system on the defensive end. It just makes a lot of sense for the New York Knicks to bring him back. So I think this is a great signing for the New York Knicks. But going into our comments section, Casey King says, good afternoon, guys. What's going on, Casey? Welcome into our 2021 NBA free agency special. We this is just the start of a big day for us. We got the NBA free agency special right now. We'll go probably until 4:30, 4:45 Pacific time, and then we have Wild Sports Talk with myself, John, and Sammy Sharp. We will be back probably at 6 p.m. for that. So we'll take about an hour break and then do Wild Sports Talk afterwards. So that's going to be a lot of fun. Not not a lot of big signings, big moves so far, John. I think it's basically a lot of re-signings right now. Oh, John, we have another breaking news, by the way, and this one is huge. It is huge, my friend. Roll that breaking news segment. One of the first dominoes has dropped in NBA free agency. Kyle Lowry is going to South Beach. He's leaving the Toronto Raptors, a team that he's played for majority of his whole career, and he's going to South Beach to pair with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo on the Miami Heat. It's a 3-year contract. I think it's a part of a sign and trade because Miami, straight up, they don't have the cap space to sign Kyle Lowry straight up. So it's part of a sign and trade. I'm very interested to see what they gave up to Toronto to get Lowry, because if you give up Tyler Herro, that is a big loss. Kyle Lowry for Tyler Herro, I don't like that move. But if you manage to keep Tyler Herro and you're giving up Goran Dragic and maybe some draft picks, I love this move for Miami. But Miami finally gets that second quote-unquote all-star next to Jimmy Butler. John, I saw your reaction when you first saw this. What's your reaction, man? Kyle Lowry to the Miami Heat on a 3-year contract.
I've been a Jimmy Butler fan. I think to a certain extent he does get some unfair criticism. But with that being said, I expect the Miami Heat to be in the conference finals. I'll say my Isaiah type take. Because when the Bucks face the Miami Heat in the playoffs, I'm sorry, I know what Giannis did this year. I know that it was great. But in 2022, when the playoffs come around the NBA and the Heat and the Bucks play, it's going to be Miami in 6. I mean, this. I understand that. Oh, yes, he's getting older, but especially with guys, Jimmy Butler's getting older, having that extra veteran presence, having that. Now, the key is if they did give up Tyler Herro, none of my argument will make any sense. It won't be valid. Hopefully, they didn't have to give up Tyler Herro, because if they did, the Heat probably won't go as far as they did, because it's important to have those role players. The Spurs know that, and many other teams know that.
John, if they gave up Tyler Herro, that will be a huge loss because Tyler Herro would be gone. You have one of your snipers gone, and Duncan Robinson, who is another one of their great 3-point shooters, he is a free agent, I believe, and there is a report that he could command a 4-year, $80 million contract. So if Herro's gone, most likely Duncan Robinson is gone as well. So it's only going to be Lowry, Butler, and Bam Adebayo. And probably you're going to have to fill out that roster, with competent 3-point shooters, because like in today's NBA, this is why I'm very interested to see how the Lakers Westbrook tandem will work, because you can't just have guys driving into the paint and shoot fall away jumpers. You can't have that now in today's NBA. By the way, Kyle Lowry has just confirmed that the deal on his Instagram, I believe, posting this on his Instagram. So Kyle Lowry to South Beach, man, this is crazy. But John, Wow. The
This
big lose, the big loser of this is New Orleans. They were aggressively targeting Kyle Lowry. They wanted him badly. That's why they were willing to let Lonzo Ball go. In fact, they were even willing to offer him 3 years, $90 million, and now they get outbid by the Miami Heat, a team that didn't even have cap space to start off with. Kyle Lowry goes to Miami, and now New Orleans, Lonzo's gone. You can't get him back. Are you gonna be desperate enough to pay Dennis Schroeder 5 years, 30 million that he wants? New Orleans is
um,
screwed.
exactly, that may be the unfortunate thing here. They're lose here. I'm not saying that Lonzo Ball is able to one of the guys moving forward that's going to help this young core get to the playoffs. But now that Lonzo Ball's gone, even if you're bringing Kyle Lowry, like I said, this team is not a playoff. They haven't shown they are playoff ready to make that deep playoff run. So you bring him in. What is that going to do when Zion Williamson can't stay healthy? Lonzo Ball, my gosh, that guy is not a consistent shooter. It wouldn't necessarily be a recipe for success. It's a lose for the Pelicans. But Miami, hopefully, again, Tyler here, hopefully he is still with the Miami Heat.
Yeah, definitely. We will get more details of, if we will get more details if and when it breaks on what Miami is sending back to Toronto. Because I guarantee you it's not a straight up signing. It's probably a sign and trade. But John, we do have some news from the Miami Heat besides Kyle Lowry, and that is from Shams Charania. Breaking news: five-time NBA All-Star Jimmy Butler is signing a max 5-year extension with the Miami Heat when the league year opens up, or he has already signed it because the league year, in fact, did open up. Free agency has begun. And I'm looking at Shams' Twitter right now. It is. I'm trying to get the details on the Jimmy Butler signing. It's a 4-year, $184 million extension for Jimmy Butler that will keep him in Miami. I believe he's got 2 more years left on his contract, so he adds in another 4 years. That is 6 years. Wow. Maybe that gives them enough salary cap space to sign Kyle Lowry straight up. I'm not sure, but
Well, because think about it, long term gives you the benefit of that to a certain extent because if you have on a 3 to 4 year deal, 150, that is a much bigger problem than a 5 to 6 year, 120, $150 million deal. Because year one, most likely, unless I'm crazy, it's not going to be a 30, 40 plus million dollars. That could be one of the first year or 2, year one or year two of that contract. Could be the smaller years that they're moving forward in that year 3 or 4 or 5 plus and continue moving forward in that contract. Those numbers are going to start to get higher, but you're not going to see that cap hit initially with his contract. So it does give him the benefit of the doubt to sign Kyle Lowry because they get 6 years, 150. Part of that, not all of that goes to Jimmy Butler. So people make also bury a Butler clear. But with that being said, first year could be, let's say it's a smaller number, and then year 3, 4, 5 it starts to get up. But in that year 1, 2, potentially 3, while the cap hit is lower, it gives you a chance to re-sign players and get guys in for agency and see somehow if they could do anything in the draft moving forward.
great point, John. But John, I hate to interrupt your point, but we do have more breaking news coming out of the NBA. Pat Riley and the Miami Heat stay winning. We said that Duncan Robinson might be gone literally 2 minutes ago. Breaking news: Duncan Robinson is staying with the Miami Heat. He has agreed to a 5-year, $90 million contract to stay with the Miami Heat, per ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. We'll try to pull up that tweet from Woj for you guys. But John, Duncan Robinson, I thought that he was all but gone. I really did. I thought he was all but gone from the Miami Heat, and now he is staying with the Miami Heat. As you guys see right here, Duncan Robinson has agreed to a 5-year, $90 million contract to stay with the Miami Heat. The deal is the largest ever for an undrafted player. It also includes an early termination option after the 4th year. So congratulations to Duncan Robinson on landing this deal. The hard work from not being drafted. He didn't pout. He didn't say, "Oh, I didn't get drafted. I might as well just retire. He worked his butt off. He worked his way up, got to Miami, became a instant contributor on that Miami Heat team. He was very integral in their run to the NBA Finals a couple of years ago, and now he gets paid. He gets the bag. He gets a 5-year, $90 million contract to stay with the Miami Heat. John, what's your reaction to this contract?
Yes, yes, yes. Number one, we love the story. And number two, just like what I was just saying earlier, keeping your core together. Do not overcomplicate it here. Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Don't try to change how your offense is run just because it didn't go like you wanted to in 2021. Look, what you went to the finals the year before, went to 5 to 6 games, I believe, against the Lakers. Bringing back Butler, bringing your core together. It shows you they believe in Butler, and it shows like bringing all these guys back. Hopefully, they can bring back Tyler Hero. But overall, their championship window is for, I would say, the next 3 to 4 years. Because if they can get a championship in the next 3 to 4 years, all of these contracts, bringing back Robinson, hopefully getting back Tyler Hero, it would be 100% a success. But again, I think folks that their championship window is the next 3 to 4 years, even though Jimmy Butler has a 6-year contract. Because mind you, those last 2 years, you never know what can happen in the NBA.
I was going to give my thoughts on the Duncan Robinson signing, but Woj, 30 seconds later, tweets this out. Phoenix Suns guard Chris Paul is re-signing with the Phoenix Suns. He is staying on a new long-term 4-year contract with the Suns worth $120 million. That adds up to $30 million per season for Chris Paul. John, I think the Suns are smart because there were talks that Chris Paul, by declining that $44.5 million player option, he could have gone $50 million over 3 years. And I was telling Stephen Wang this, there was no way in hell I was paying Chris Paul, 37 years of age, a $50 million per year contract over 3 years, 150 million. He gets more years, 4 years, 120 million. But I think that this number in terms of the money is right for Phoenix. Chris Paul gets what he wants. The Suns get what they want in a shorter, or not a shorter deal, but a less expensive deal for Chris Paul. I like this deal a lot. It gives them more ample cap space. Love this move for Phoenix. And Chris Paul gets to finish out his career with Devin Booker and Monty Williams in the desert.
Their championship window is in the next year, besides this past year. 2 more, maybe 3 years at best. Because in Devin Booker, similar, his contract's going to go into effect. They're going to have to pay him. Chris Paul, he's getting older. His contract is going to go get higher and higher against the cap. What are you going to do about it? And what about his contract? What about other guys' contract? Even though the Suns got to the finals, Chris Paul was not the only reason, but one of the big reasons why the Suns got to the finals. Even though we know what Devin Booker can do, you have to have that veteran guy that has been to the playoffs, has won playoff games. He has had playoff experience versus a guy like Devin Booker who has that talent moving forward, but hasn't had that playoff experience to know what to do, how to handle a certain situation, or definitely how not to handle a certain situation. This is smart for the Suns moving forward because this gives them an expansion moving forward for Aiden's contract, for future DeAndre Aiden's contract, for Devin Booker's contract. This helps the whole team, and that is smart. And this is the thing where people are like 4 years, 120. Think about this. Not all of that is going against the cap. Part of that goes to his agent. So if you're being honest, it's probably less than that. So therefore, if it was like 20, it could have been like hypothetical numbers, like 35 per year. Once you give out that age and everything else, it could go down to 26, 27, or 28. So it's not as big as it seems. So don't take these numbers at face value. It's without a doubt a smart deal and decision for the Suns, and Devin Booker would never be validated.
The only issue, though, with this contract, John, is the final 2 years of it. Because right now, Chris Paul is 37. This is going to take him into his 41 years of age season, if he even decides to play that long. he will be getting paid at the age of 40 and 41. He'll be getting paid at least. Once again, we don't know if it's backloaded or not. If it's backloaded, it even makes it even worse, because if you pay him $40 million when he's 40 years of age or 41, with how injury prone Chris Paul has been, that is not going to work well for the Phoenix Suns in the final 2 years. I'm not worried about next year or the year after, because that's the Phoenix Suns window right there. But when he's 40, when he's 41, who knows if Devin Booker will even still be on that team, because Devin Booker's a free agent, I believe, in 2 seasons. So you're right. The Phoenix Suns, they have a 2-year window. That's it. They have a 2-year window. If they don't win it, they're done.
Here's the thing.
That final 2 years is what really worries me.
It does, but with them signing Chris Paul, this could potentially really confirm that Devin Booker is going to be there long term. Because you don't let your star young player go and have a old injury Chris Paul with DeAndre and those guys coming off the bench. That makes no sense in any sports organization. So, of course, you're going to bring back Devin Booker in year 2. He's going to reset a new contract. He's going to stay fixed. They brought back Chris Paul to pair up with Devin Booker for the next 2 to 3 to 4 years. Now, it's definitely a concern moving forward, but they're not going to sign Chris Paul and then 2 years let Devin Booker go in free agency. There's no way in any shape or form that they would do that. So bringing Chris Paul back, which means the next year or 2, they are going to re-sign Devin Booker. Mark my words.
And going to our comment section, Christy Wilson says, I guess this will be the last contract that Chris Paul signs. No doubt, because there's no way he's signing anything, because this will take him to his year 40 and 41 age season. So this is his last contract that he signs, and I'm glad that he's getting paid because he deserves it. You know, he's a first ballot Hall of Famer. He just needs that ring, you know, to cement his legacy. And Christy also says the Suns need CP3 if they want to make it to the finals again. You know, even with CP3, John, I hate to say it because I'm a huge Devin Booker fan, like you know, but I don't think the Suns will reach the finals next season. If everybody's healthy, talking about if everybody is healthy, I do not think that the Phoenix Suns are going to reach the NBA Finals next season. I really don't, because I'll say this, John. I'll say this. They got lucky this season. As much as I like Devin Booker, they got lucky. They got really, really lucky this season. If Kawhi was there, they would have lost in the Western Conference Finals. If Jamal Murray was there, they would have lost in the second round. If you might want to call up Allen right now.
No, yeah, I know somebody else I could call better, but I know they're busy right now.
Yes. If Anthony Davis was healthy, they would not have even gotten out of the first round. So I'm talking about if everybody's healthy. We're talking about if everybody's healthy next season. I don't think Phoenix even gets out of the first round. I'm sorry about that. I don't think they even get out of the first round. As much as we love Devin Booker.
Wait a minute, because here, and I want to say this on oath, on the internet. I don't want to hear 2 months from now, 6 months from now, a year from now, taking back this take. Because when this video is done, I am going to edit this and edit that clip, send it to Callan, and send it to the whole group chat, send it to the coast group chat. So you better make sure that you're 100% in that, because I know you do this every single time. You say a take, and then you change it in the next couple of years. Or next couple of months. So I hope you don't change your mind, because that was definitely not sound like Isaiah, but Chris Paul signed his final contract. We're seeing this sportsman. Our sports childhood, Isaiah, is coming to a close. LeBron, the next couple of years, is going to retire sooner or later, unless the NFL doesn't exist. Tom Brady's going to retire. Big's going to retire. We're going to see a new surge in the NBA. But Isaiah, I want to make sure that you mean that. I don't want to say I promise, because when you in 2, 3, 4 months, if they start off with a hot record, top in their division, I don't want you to say otherwise. I want to say I promise and I swear by this take, by the MI6 Sports Network oath.
I
Do it.
swear by the MI6 Sports Network oath, because this might be like the most spicy moment of the show, and I'm thankful that Callan's not watching this program.
No, I'm sending this to Callan afterwards.
By the way,
So we're
Callan,
good.
have fun in Florida. You know, me and John are gonna hold it down while you are on vacation the next week or so while you're on vacation. But John, I've been telling Callan this. I really have. That I honestly don't even think if they were healthy, if everybody was healthy this year, I don't think the Phoenix Suns would have even gotten out of the first round. I really don't.
So then, how does that come to do with you saying that Devin Booker was validated? I don't think you're very contradicting yourself now.
He was validated in terms of he could play winning basketball because guys.
But
like
you just said
Steven,
if those guys were healthy, they wouldn't have gone past the first round. So by your logic, since they were not healthy, how is that winning basketball against guys that weren't healthy? It's contradicting.
But he made the playoffs, though. He hadn't made the playoffs. He led his team.
You also had Chris Paul.
Yeah, well, you had Chris
Paul.
You
don't have Chris Paul. There's no way they get past the first, second round last year.
John, without Chris Paul, let's say this: was Devin Booker the alpha on this team?
He's definitely not the number one guy for sure. No.
Are you serious?
Because you can't honestly tell me they would make the finals this year without Chris Paul.
Well, even with Chris Paul, I don't think they would have made the finals if everybody was healthy. But I'm saying Devin Booker, this is Devin Booker's team. As much as I like Chris Paul, Devin Booker is Batman. Chris Paul is the Robin. I don't know if I'm even using that analogy right. But, you know, honestly, they need another star. That's what Phoenix needs. They need another star because with how they are right now, if everybody's healthy, I don't even see them making it out of the first round. Because who's gonna stop on this Suns team? How are you really gonna pick them over Russ, LeBron, and AD? You really gonna pick them over them? I doubt it. Luka's gonna get stronger. There's rumors out there that they might sign Kawhi Leonard in a free agency. Who knows? If they do, Luka and Kawhi will be a very, very scary duo. Then you have other teams like Golden State's going to be back. Klay Thompson, Steph Curry, Draymond Green, Andrew Wiggins.
Mind you that Klay Thompson may not be playing so early next year, so he won't be a factor early on.
Well, but he still will be, you know, come playoff time, he'll still be there though. The Clippers, if Kawhi leaves, I mean, good luck, but. And I want to address Christie's comment actually. Could Kawhi Leonard sign with the Phoenix Suns? No, because after you gave Chris Paul that contract, there goes your bulk of your cap space. So unless Kawhi Leonard, unless Kawhi is willing to take a massive pay cut, I really don't see it. Christie's also asked who's out there that can help the Suns.
Nobody.
Do you want to take this first, or should I go with this one?
Nobody.
There's not a superstar out there right now that I think that the Phoenix Suns could get, because Russ with Phoenix would have been another disaster. They have Chris Paul anyway, so unless Phoenix wants to go back to the days when they were running three guards with Goran Dragic, Isaiah Thomas, and Eric Bledsoe, doesn't make sense. I'm trying to look at the other stars that could be available. Bradley Beal, but you would have to trade for him. You would probably have to trade like half your team for him. So there's just not another star out there that Phoenix could get. That's what they're missing. They're missing another superstar. They can get that other superstar to pair with Devin Booker and pair with Chris Paul. I think Phoenix could definitely make another run of the finals, but at how they are right now, how they are structured with just Paul and just Booker, it's hard for me to see them even getting out of the first round next year. But John,
I've said Bucks in 6 for.
John, you got any thoughts on this?
No, I'm saying Bucks in 6. I'm good. I'm curious to see what happens with Kawhi, but that guy is just injury prone at this point. I'm not sure how we could. But him and Luka, I mean, that would be interesting. But again, can Kawhi stay healthy? Again, we're all just talking about hypotheticals, but can Kawhi stay healthy? At this point, I really don't see how that's possible. Exactly, and that's the thing. That's the thing is that guys are already re-signed with their team, they're still under their first contract. So there would be no way, not even in any NBA or Marvel universe, where another superstar right now, August 2nd, 6 p.m. on a Monday, it'd be a free agency, where they'd be able to join, or maybe even want to join the Phoenix Suns.
Yeah, definitely. Right now you're seeing a lot of guys re-sign with their current teams. You're also seeing, the only big splash move, John, I think right now is the Lonzo Ball to Chicago. That's been like the big splash. But other than that, it's been just a lot of people. Or yeah, Kyle Lowry to Miami is another one. But besides that, it's just been guys re-signing with their current clubs right now. And John, we do have. It's not like that big of a breaking news, but we do have report that Doug McDermott has signed a 3-year contract with the San Antonio Spurs. It is a 3-year, $42 million contract. McDermott had a career year with Indiana last year, averaged 13.6 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, and he's a very good three-point shooter, 40% from three. And last year, I believe he made shot 40% from three last year. He made 53% from the field as well. So congratulations to Doug McDermott. The Suns, the Pelicans, and the Nuggets were among the teams that were rumored to be in on Doug McDermott. But John, I gotta say this, man. Greg Popovich is a great coach, no doubt about it. But the Spurs right now are just in an awkward position. They're not that bad to tank and get the number one pick. They're not that good, however, to, compete for a championship. They're just in this middle ground spot where you look at them and it's like, can they even get it to the 10th spot in the Western Conference? That's their ceiling right now. 10th spot and get into the play-in tournament in the Western Conference. That's literally the Spurs' position and their ceiling right now. And they might even be worse next season. Who knows? Because DeMar DeRozan, I think, is good as gone from San Antonio. He was your top player last season. He's gone. LaMarcus Aldridge, he was gone in the second half of last season. So the Spurs, I don't know what the Spurs are doing. I really am perplexed by the direction that the Spurs are heading in right now.
Sooner or later, and this is the maybe hard with the loser will take. Sooner or later, despite the loyalty, despite what Greg Popovich has done for the Spurs, sooner or later, they're going to have to bring in a new head coach. This is not to disrespect or to disregard Greg Popovich. He is a future first ballot Hall of Famer. But at some point, maybe you need a new coach with a new vision. Maybe this Greg Popovich is just missing something, or maybe he was relying on those other players so much that now that this is a different skill set. You don't have a Manu Ginobili, you don't have a Tony Parker, you don't have a Kawhi Leonard, the sixth man. And now as a starter in the league. So now you have to adjust your offense, and maybe it's like you have your vision of what the offense to be, and then what it actually needs to be to activate that. Those two things are at a crossroad, and maybe I'm wrong or crazy. I'll ask some sources, but I definitely think certainly they're going to have to move on from Greg Popovich.
Yeah, I think Greg Popovich. It's hard for me to say this, John, because I have such great respect for Greg Popovich, but I thought Greg Popovich should have taken that Brooklyn Nets job last year, because you've done all you could.
I don't think so. Just because when you look at the personalities, and yes, Greg Popovich doesn't put up with bull jive, but that means guys that they don't like his attitude towards the players, so they're not going to play. I think personalities wouldn't work, but this is not a bad thing for the Spurs moving on from Greg Popovich. We know that Greg Popovich submitted his legacy years and years ago, so this is not a bad thing, folks. I just think moving forward, the Spurs, sometimes things come to a close, and that's not a bad thing at all.
Yeah, and the Spurs, I think they would be better off just carrying everything down at this point, because right now with this signing of Doug McDermott, they are just content with being a middle tier team. That's just not bad enough to tank, not good enough to compete for a championship, just trying to be that 8th spot at best and get into, the Western Conference first round every single year. So, San Antonio, they're just at an awkward position. I think, I know Greg Popovich does not like tanking one bit, but I think, if you're the Spurs, you might as well just tear everything down at this point because you're not going anywhere. You're basically the same thing year in and year out. This year, you might even be worse than what you were last year. And last year, I believe you finished either at you finished as the 10th seed, barely getting in the play-in tournament. And this year, you're not going to have DeMar DeRozan. So you might be 11 or 12 at this rate. And maybe this will be the year that San Antonio finally tanks because they're like bad enough to tank because DeRozan is probably gone and Patty Mills is probably gone. Rudy Gay is probably gone. So maybe this is the year that they tear it down.
Or maybe it's to the point where it's like John Elway with the Broncos or other organizations where all it is, even if they don't do well, is loyalty, loyalty, and loyalty. That's definitely with it. Okay.
Stephen Wang says that McDermott is there to inspire young players on how to play winning and efficient basketball, not necessarily to win a title, but I do agree with your guys' overarching premise. I'm not saying that, Doug McDermott's a bad signing. What I'm saying is, if you're the Spurs, like, what are you doing? Like, it seems like, to me, that the Spurs are just trying just to do enough just to get to that 10th spot or to get into the last playoff spot every single year. And at this rate, it's just like, okay, you reach that, last playoff spot or the last play-in spot, but you're just going to get knocked out every single year in the first round because you're just not talented as the rest of the guys. The Spurs, they just don't really have a sense of direction, especially after Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, and Tony Parker retired and Kawhi Leonard asked out of San Antonio. Like, John, if you look at the Spurs right now, who on the Spurs could you build around for the future? I really don't see anybody. I really don't,
Here's the thing of the problem with the Spurs here. The reason why the signing just makes no sense is not because he isn't talented, 32 points plus per game last year, is that we're used to you talking about winning basketball. What we're used to, Greg Popovich in the Spurs is deep in the playoffs, second, third round, or getting to the finals, be considered for the finals. But now it's like this Greg Popovich from considering like Bill Belichick in terms of winning. Now it's like just barely getting to the 10th seed, maybe at best getting to the 11th seed and trying to get to the play-in tournament. This is not the same expectations of Greg Popovich that we had 5, 6, 7 years ago. So it's not winning basketball. Compared, if you called it winning basketball, then what do you want to call it years ago? Because that's winning basketball. Now we're lowering our expectations, I'm afraid, like for Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs, because what we saw years ago is not what we're getting now. So what is he trying to teach these players versus when you were actually winning years ago?
Yeah, and I was gonna bring up the Belichick Popovich point is that maybe those coaches weren't that great as we thought they were. Maybe it was just the product of those great players that they have that made those coaches look good. Greg Popovich, without Tim Duncan, without Manu Ginobili, and without Tony Parker, he wasn't that good of a coach. I mean, that first year he took over without them, they were one of the worst teams in the NBA. And now you see the effect of not having those guys, not having Kawhi Leonard, not having Tony Parker, not having Tim Duncan, not having Manu Ginobili. And what happens? The Spurs are always a, middle tier type of a team that just doesn't go anywhere in the postseason. But John, we do have some updates regarding the Jimmy Butler extension. And man, I am shocked. I am very shocked that Miami gave him this type of an extension. I know he's a great player, don't get me wrong, but I'm very shocked that they gave him this type of a contract. And you will probably gasp with the way that it is structured. Here is the contract for Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler's massive extension with the Miami Heat calls for him to make $40 million next season at the age of 33, and then it just keeps going up and up and up. 23-24 season, he'll be 34 years of age, $43.8 million. And then these next 2 years are where I'm worried. if I'm the Miami Heat. 47 mil at the age of 35 and then 50 million at the age of 36. John, when you look at these numbers, what do you think? Do you think Miami, is this a good deal for Miami, or do you think that Miami just overpaid Jimmy Butler this extension just to try to carve out some cap space to get Kyle Lowry?
They really are convinced that they can win the championship in the next year or two. Because if they were convinced, if Miami Heat and the whole organization wasn't convinced they could at least attempt to make a championship run in the next couple of years, they wouldn't have signed him to this massive contract because it doesn't make any sense. So you believe in Jimmy Butler and you believe in this team. Now, it definitely is concerning. Now, if they do win with this core, get to win a championship and maybe go to one or two after that, then I don't have a problem with this contract. But if you're not doing any winning basketball and you don't have Tyler Hero, we could definitely revisit this contract in a couple of years. But this just shows that they're trying to win right now in the next year or two. They're not trying to rebuild like the Pelicans and so many NBA teams are trying to do. But yes, those numbers are crazy. But at the end of the day, we'll just see what happens.
I think the Miami Heat are banking on Kyle Lowry to be that second star next to Jimmy Butler. And Martin Garcia, who is a huge Miami Heat fan, if you're watching this program right now, feel free to hop on to this program, and we'll definitely get you on to get your thoughts on the Miami Heat's moves. But John, I don't like, not the Jimmy Butler contract, but I think Miami, they could have gotten a better co-star next to Jimmy Butler. I just think that Kyle Lowry, you think of him and you want him to be the co-star next to Jimmy Butler. That's the guy you want. It's like, I like Kyle Lowry, but on a championship contending team, he's a third option. He's not a second option on a championship contending team. Like, the guy's up there in age now. I just think Miami could have gotten a better star. Maybe if they waited to next year to get like a Bradley Beal or someone like that, I thought that would have been a smarter move than getting a Kyle Lowry, who is up there in age, and also he's just not not the same player that he once was. So I like this move, like, of giving Jimmy Butler that contract, because you want to carve out some cap space to give it to Kyle Lowry. But like Stephen A. Smith said on I believe it was First Take this morning, Kyle Lowry is not going to make a difference for the Miami Heat. You're not going to make a difference like a Bradley Beal would have made. But guys, give us your thoughts on, what do you guys think about this Lowry to Miami move, the Miami Heat's moves, the Phoenix Suns signing Chris Paul to that big new contract, and Jimmy Butler getting a massive extension with the Miami Heat? We're just trying to wait for more free agency moves as they come in right now. Oh, we have some news, actually. We have some news. If we could pull out that free agent, or the breaking news, button, that would be great. But we do have some news, not as big as the Lowry move or the Lonzo Ball news. The Dallas Mavericks, according to Mark Stein, is nearing a deal with Knicks free agent three-point shooter Reggie Bullock. According to league sources, Reggie Bullock is looking like he's heading to the Dallas Mavericks. John, I think it's a pretty good deal because, the Dallas Mavericks, one of the big things that they lacked last year is more shooting, more three-point shooting next to Luka Doncic. I think it's a pretty good move. Plus, it's a one-year deal anyway. So if it doesn't work out, then you just cut him, and it doesn't really cost you that much.
The only still huge question mark: Kristaps Porzingis. What are the Mavericks going to do with him? Now, I get the thought of the signing, but the initial signing of it was ridiculous. Because now you sign this guy to a one-year deal. Kristaps Porzingis, that trio in the NBA, unless there's another trade I'm not thinking of in the NBA, it for me has the most question marks. We know what Luka's about. He's not a top 5 player right now because he can't get past the first round. Maybe moving forward we can have that discussion. You got Luka, phenomenal player. Kristaps Porzingis, maybe he can be something but can't stay healthy. And then you have this guy on a 1-year deal. So it's definitely going to be a huge question, not just on the trio, but is this going to be another year next year in Dallas where it's a first-round exit?
Also from Dallas, we do have an even bigger signing than the Reggie Bullock signing. If we could pull up that breaking news, that would be great. John, Tim Hardaway Jr., who was a big impact player last year next to Luka Doncic, he has secured the bag. He is getting a 4-year, get this, $72 million contract to stay with the Dallas Mavericks. Tim Hardaway Jr. last year was arguably the Dallas Mavericks' second best player with Luka Doncic, especially in that Clippers series. He was red hot in that Clippers series. He averaged 16.6 points per game, 3.3 rebounds per game, and 28.4 minutes of play. But in that Clippers series, he scored 20 points, 23 points, and 17 points as well. So he is a good second option next to Luka. He can shoot the lights out of the basketball when he is on fire, but when he's ice cold, it's not a fun sight to see. But I like the signing, John. You had to give him that much of a contract because I believe he was teams out there in the NBA were willing to give him that much. So if you wanted to keep him, you would have to give him that much anyways. They had his bird rights, so it doesn't really count that much into the cap. So I like the signing, but my thing is this might take the Dallas Mavericks out of the Kawhi Leonard sweepstakes because you sign him to that big contract. Now there's reports that Sterling Brown from Milwaukee, he's closing in on joining Dallas. You have Reggie Bullock. Dallas, I think right now is focusing on getting more outside three-point shooting to pair with Luka Doncic, which I think could be good because like you saw in the NBA Finals with Giannis, the guy that can drive into the basket and create his own shot, he's going to get a lot of the attention from the defense, and he just kicks it out, and those shooters knocking down open threes. It's like what Milwaukee did, Milwaukee did, putting three-point shooters around Giannis Antetokounmpo. I like the plan by Dallas, but I still would rather have Kawhi Leonard than have all these three-point shooters around Luka Doncic.
I mean, I feel like it's a little bit of a loser situation for the Mavericks here because you're capping because of Kristaps Porzingis' contract. Even if you're bringing Kawhi again, if Kawhi can't stay healthy, so you bring him in, what is the point? Just because of his name? Just because of what he did in Toronto? Just because of what he did in San Antonio? And that's the problem that I have is that, yeah, it sounds great, but it wouldn't work out. It wouldn't work out at all because if Kawhi can't stay healthy, Kristaps Porzingis can't stay healthy. What are your two of your star players? And yes, you brought back Tim Hardaway if he can be a consistent shooter. It's definitely a question moving forward. I'm not too confident in this Mavericks team long term just because they can't get past the first round and they just don't have those core group of players that I could say that I'm truly confident about, like in Miami, like in potentially with LA and many other teams.
Yeah, I definitely think that. Well, if they do get Kawhi, Kristaps Porzingis will be gone. They're going to have to shed his contract in order to open up a max spot for Kawhi Leonard. So you probably would have to attach like a first-round pick and maybe one other asset to the other team to get them to take on the Porzingis contract. That's the only way that it would work. And if I'm Dallas, I would do it because let's face it, Dallas doesn't care about first round picks. They care about winning now. And these first round picks that you're going to attach to that team that takes on Porzingis' contract, it's going to be in the late 20s or even in the 30s range if you get that far in the NBA playoffs. So if I'm Dallas, I would do it, especially to get a player in Kawhi Leonard's stature. Even though he's going to be out for this season, I still think teams are going to sign him to a big contract, given the fact that he's Kawhi Leonard, the big name, the big talent. But he's going to sit out this upcoming season, like Kevin Durant, but it's to get him for the future. That's what the Brooklyn Nets did, and it's paid off for them so far. But imagine a Luka and Kawhi duo. I mean, that would be scary. But go ahead, John.
The duo is not going to happen, even if they do come together in Dallas. Because even if we've seen this with Kawhi before, like I said, he can't stay healthy. Even if he's 100%, how long can Kawhi Leonard stay 100% healthy on the court? Because you're setting out for this year, so you have no time to develop your chemistry. You have less time of chemistry in 2022. So I just don't understand what and how this would work. Because if you're trying to win now, why bring a guy in Kawhi Leonard if he's going to sit out for a year? Because if you're trying to win now, you need that chemistry. We saw it with the Nets, with the injuries and not having enough time, the chemistry on and off the court. It affects the team, but again, I'm still concerned about Dallas moving forward.
Some of the rumors that are trickling in right now, Dennis Schroeder has not budged. He still wants a contract north of $25 million per year. Good luck getting that. Dwight Howard, he might be meeting with the Lakers tonight, and there is hope that he could potentially sign a deal with the Los Angeles Lakers tonight. Carmelo Anthony is another one that could be meeting with the Lakers tonight as the Lakers try to get some depth on their ball club. But I don't think there's really that much, rumors going on as we have, as free agency just started. But I guarantee you it's just going to come left and right into tonight, tomorrow, and then the next couple of days as well. John, we do have some news. The New York Knicks have agreed to a deal with Alec Burks, who was a really good or pretty good three-point shooter for them this season. 3 years, $30 million. I don't know about that, John. I don't know about that. I'm kind of iffy on that contract.
Maybe it's the Knicks, who knows moving forward. But the Carmelo Anthony, I've been wanting Carmelo Anthony and LeBron James to play together for a long time. Ever since that ridiculous rumor, that banana boat from years ago during the summertime, that would have been such an interesting hypothetical team that could have happened. You got Carmelo Anthony, you got CP3, you got LeBron. That team could easily win 2 to 3. I'm not saying easy. They would win 2 to 3 championships, if not appear in 4. That team could have been talented. But just bringing Carmelo Anthony just for this year to LeBron, that would be a great guy coming off the bench. And imagine even on top of that, wouldn't this be Dwight Howard's 4th time coming back, the 3rd or 4th time coming back to the Los Angeles Lakers? That's something you don't ever see. So I think, but bringing with Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony coming off the bench, those guys get overlooked. He's been disrespected or maybe blackballed by the Rockets. But those guys coming off the bench, I definitely think can help them, especially moving forward deeper into the 2021-2022 season with a potential LeBron getting older, injury, and potentially AD being out for a couple of games.
Don't forget, there is a rumor that DeMar DeRozan could take a massive pay cut and go home to play for his childhood team in the Lakers. So imagine if the Lakers get DeRozan. If they get DeRozan on that mid-level exception, which would pay him, I believe, $5.9 million. If he's willing to take that pay cut and he takes that, and then you get Carmelo and Dwight on veteran minimum, dude, imagine the big three already with Russ, LeBron, AD. Plus, you add in a DeMar DeRozan, who would be your starting lineup as your shooting guard. So you would have Russ, LeBron, DeRozan, and AD. That's a big 4 right there. And then coming off your bench, Dwight Howard and Carmelo Anthony.
That team, there is not Chris Paul, not Devin Booker, not Adam Silver himself. Again, I'm just reading this right here. could stop this team. Not just saying because they're all so dominant and they all could be starters. Because those guys coming off the bench, people tend to forget about Carmelo Anthony. That's why I like that Stephen A. Smith and Carmelo Anthony interview. Because Carmelo Anthony is, again, I'm not saying that he's a top 5, top 3 player of all time, but getting him off the bench, getting Dwight Howard off the bench, that is the most important thing for a team. That's how teams make it deep far into the playoffs. We saw it with the Clippers a couple years ago before Kawhi. Yes, they lost in the first round, but they took the Warriors to 6-7 games with how great they were just on the bench. Put some starters here, you just never know.
Yeah, that would be great depth if the Lakers could land this, but I'm not counting on it though, because hey, I've been hyped up about this just to end up getting disappointed. So if it happens, it happens, but if it doesn't, I would not be that pissed about it, honestly.
Brandon, I get it. I'm trying to have more engaging basketball conversations. Not just because I had Chris Broussard on, but whenever I get to talk to him again or on the show, I want to be able to have an intelligent conversation and be able to contribute to it like I do the NFL or like I would do with video games. But just me talking basketball, Brandon, for about an hour and a half, either must be April Fools or somehow Christmas came early this year.
Christmas did in fact come early for me because my team landed Russell Westbrook, but
Russell Westbrook because he can't shoot the 3.
And also Bulls fans as well because they got Lonzo Ball on a 4-year, $85 million insane contract. But John, some news: Bobby Portis returning to the Bucks, 2 years, $9 million. He was instrumental though in their championship run, but what do you think of this deal? I think it's a good deal for both sides.
It's phenomenal though. Like I say, don't overthink this. Even your bench players are only going to get you 2 to 3, 4, 5, 6 points a game. Those guys need help because once you get deep in the playoffs and Giannis is on the bench, you got other guys on the bench because they're injured or they're taking some time to rest. You need that clutch 3-point shot. You need that shot to be blocked. You can count on that guy getting 2 to 3. Again, I don't know Bobby Porter's stats, but getting the guy that can get you 2 to 3 or 4, 5 plus points coming off the bench, that's important. I know it's like, oh, he's not phenomenal. Yeah, he's a bench player, but that's not a bad thing. You need those guys, and those are the guys that are going to help you win that championship.
Definitely, for sure. And also, Jeff Green, longtime NBA vet Jeff Green. He has found a new home. He is signing a 2-year, $10 million deal with the Denver Nuggets. Jeff Green, guy that can shoot, guy that is a veteran, been around a long time, and also a guy that plays good defense as well. Big loss for the Brooklyn Nets because he was a very key piece on their bench, and now he's moving to the Denver Nuggets. So interesting to see what happens the rest of the way. As free agency has kind of stalled right now. There's not really much going on.
Hey, I don't care. I got football this Sunday. I'm freaking excited. So I don't care if it's a slow NBA free agency. Football is back in.
You mean on Thursday? You mean on Thursday? Because the Hall of Fame game is on Thursday, I believe. The 5th.
So either way, there's still football to be played. It's a good week. This NFL offseason felt like 20 months. We're so glad the best sport in all of sports is back. Not basketball, not with all due respect, Colin. It is football. Okay, and Brandon, let me make this very abundant clear. Brandon, you need to go to wherever you work, whatever job you need to get drug tested. The only reason why it'd be a good fit, you can maybe get more viewers for the cringeworthy Facebook show that somehow has how many episodes or how many seasons. Lonzo Ball is not consistent. Why do you think it didn't work in LA? Why do you think it didn't work with, of course, we know it's New Orleans, so they do mishandle free agents in the past, not just with the Pelicans, but also with the New Orleans Saints. How is he a good fit? You definitely got to be drug tested here, man.
He does. I think he does make them a playoff team, though. He does.
How? If he can't be a consistent shooter, doesn't play hardly look at defense, how is he going to help this team that is on the rebuild on the rise?
But let me say this: he's already a way better upgrade than the point guard that they had last year.
Well, but that doesn't mean that's necessarily a good thing, though. You could have a guy that scores 2 points a game, and you can get or a guy that gets 3 points a game. Oh, that guy's a huge upgrade over this other guy. That's not necessarily a good thing or a bad thing. That's not necessarily a good comparison. That's like if you're a running back, you get like 3.8 yards a carry, and then I get like 3.9, maybe 4. Oh, like he's so much better than this guy. That's not much of a difference, and so I just don't see how that makes a difference. But Brandon, even then, a mop in a bucket, a broom, an air pump, and a dustpan would still reject that contract with the Minnesota Timberwolves. Sorry, buddy.
And Brandon, unfortunately, the Timberwolves have not signed anybody as of now that we have heard of. So maybe tonight, who knows, when Wild Sports Talk is on the air, we will maybe get a Wolves signing. Who knows? Or who knows?
Sorry,
maybe we'll get Karl Anthony Towns to be traded, and then everybody will be like, wow, what's going on in Minnesota? But John, it's this free agency, I think, is really like
it's not as exciting so far, but I think it's one of the more important ones because you could always have guys get traded and sign these contracts, but it's guys re-signing with their teams. That to me is more exciting because teams are not trying to reinvent the wheel, not trying to change sliced bread, and so I definitely think that's more exciting because it's the smarter, more interesting method. Well, it doesn't get as many clicks as, oh my gosh, LeBron got traded here. Oh my gosh, Jimmy Butler got traded here. This is more important. Re-signing your players, to me, I definitely think is very vital.
Yeah, it's pretty much a lot of guys re-signing with their current ball clubs as we speak. Brandon says, "Trust me, I know the Wolves won't sign no one." John,
they wouldn't even sign a dirty diaper on a 1 year, $3 poopy dollar deal. I mean, my gosh, the Wolves are like, I don't understand. Don't you still have D'Angelo Russell, who took the Brooklyn Nets a couple of years ago to 5-6 games against the Warriors, who I believe won the finals that year. So I'm not saying that D'Angelo Russell is like this top elite player, but what happened to him? Didn't he have a short time, I believe, with the Warriors that they went to the Minnesota Timberwolves because they got Wiggins? The Warriors have Andrew Wiggins. So you made D'Angelo Russell get part of that could be on him. Making him fall completely off the map. I'll take him on the Cavs. I'll say that right now. I would take D'Angelo Russell on the Cavs right now.
Speaking of your Cavs and your Cavs getting a point guard, John, there is reports out there that your Cleveland Cavaliers are meeting with Alex Caruso, the guard from the Lakers, and could be offering him a contract sometime soon. So, yeah, you might see breaking news on the ticker that Alex Caruso has signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the report...
But no!
Your Cavs $15 million per year because that's what other teams are potentially offering him. So
for
that
happened, above Slim Shady, like why? What doesn't make any sense? It's stupid.
Wasn't the guy that you said would look like Slim Shady? Wasn't that Kyle Kuzma?
Mm-hmm.
No, it's not Kuzma. It's Alex Caruso.
It's Kuzma.
Yeah.
Alex Caruso is bald. Slim Shady had some hair.
But dude, I can't wait, man. Alex Caruso to your Cavs, you should embrace it, John. I mean, he'll be the replacement for Colin Sexton once Colin Sexton does in fact get traded. You have him starting as your point guard.
Isaiah is having technical difficulties because he's talking out of his rear end, so you just never know what happens. But ladies and gentlemen, as we do on every single program on the show, we are going to go, despite what Isaiah thinks, to today's final thoughts. no, 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 no. But despite this program and you and me talking basketball for about an hour and a half and all these great fans out here, what are your final thoughts on tonight's program?
Well, my final thoughts is that I want to thank the fans. I want to thank Big V. I want to thank, let's see, Stephen Wang for taking the time out of his busy schedule to join us, Christy Wilson, as well as Casey King and Sarge joining us tonight and, giving us all their excellent questions, comments, and concerns here on the comment box. Really appreciate you guys for tuning in and watching us. Man, it was fun. It was fun to see all the big breaking news, the Lonzo Ball news. I was shocked by that. I thought he was going to New York. And also there was other moves that we were like shocked by. I know John was shocked by the Kyle Lowry to Miami news. But it was fun. But hopefully we get, the big names start to trickle down and start getting off the board soon. Hopefully, by the time Wild Sports Talk hits in about an hour and a half, we can have some Laker news as well. But looking forward to tonight's Wild Sports Talk show, folks. We will be back. We'll be back. This was just the start of a big and busy night for me and John. Wild Sports Talk will come at you approximately at 6:10 p.m. Pacific. It's going to be a great show. Looking forward to it. Looking forward to talking some basketball, football, baseball, even the Olympics as well. So it's going to be great. Looking forward to it. And hopefully we get some breaking news on that show. But John, it's been fun doing this free agency special. And we definitely need to do it again sometime next year. Maybe Callan can join us as well.
We'll see what happens, but man, oh man, we heard a rumor last night, of course, Lonzo Ball going to Chicago, but again, it's a good show. Brandon Herrera, Stephen Wang, Casey King, of course, coming in as early as they are, Christy Wilson, all these, and Tim himself, man, it's definitely been a great show, and you just never know what can happen, and hopefully we can have a certain guest on here on this program in the future. But thank you all so much for watching. We'll see y'all later. Have a good one. And Isaiah just pooped his pants.